Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994 I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories and some great insight on things related to prison. I'm gonna share some with y'all today. If in the event you happen to like this video, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Most importantly, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Also, if you want to catch up on some of my older content, and I definitely got some great stories, great videos, great interviews, go to my YouTube playlist, scroll down, and you will see I have my stories organized into different categories. And I promise you, you're going to find something that you like. Now, let's hop right up into this video. So today I'm talking about the viciousness, the vicious nature of DPs in prison. And now I know when I say DP, some of y'all thinking that old freaky deaky under the sheet type stuff. No, man, we're not talking about that. We talking about a discipline. You know what I'm saying? A DP in the California prison system is basically a physical reprimand by your collective, by the organization that you run with, your clique, or whatever, right? And so we first and foremost, we got to keep in mind that prison and prison gangs is definitely a subculture. A lot of times I'll do a video and I'll explain a situation that happened in prison, and people will hit in the comments and they'll try to give me a free world solution to a penitentiary problem. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that, right? Those are two totally different worlds. So the other day I did a video and I had to blur a lot of the video out, and it showed this dude being viciously attacked in prison. So what I'll try to do, I'll try to leave the link to the unblurred vision. I'll try to leave the link to the unblurred version in the descriptions here so you guys can see it. And people left a lot of interesting comments relating to that video, right? Shout out to Alfie from Montana. He left a comment basically saying that it was cowardly for that dude to sneak up on the dude that he was attacking. Not only did he bring a homie, but he snuck up on him, right? While the dude is sitting this way, the other dude crept from the back. And unfortunately, right, in prison, when anything of a violent nature is getting ready to occur, there's going to be no warnings. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, man, we coming to get you guys. We coming to do this, you know. In terms of a person being disciplined by his homies or whatever, your warning is going to be given when you first get to prison. And people tell you the things that is expected of you by whatever organization or collective you choose to run with, right? And so in the event you happen to run afoul of those rules and regulations, you already know what it is, you know. For the most part, right? So a lot of people want to know, well, sometimes why people could be disciplined in prison, right? And so when I say a person who runs afoul of the rules, that's a broad scope. So I'll break it down and be a little bit more specific, right? So debts, gambling, well, not necessarily gambling, but gambling and not being able to pay, you know, running up debts that you cannot pay, being problematic, you know, just having the type of demeanor where you are continually and consistently getting into it with other people. Of course, being a snitch, you know, stealing from other people, and when you become a liability to your collective. And the reason why those things can get a person physically disciplined and removed from the yard is because, like I said, once you become a liability to your collective, you become a danger to yourself, and not necessarily just yourself, but when you become a danger to others, the others that you have joined in prison, that's when it's time for you to go, because in some situations in prison, unfortunately, it's life or death. And you know, a lot of people feel that we have given you the rules. We have told you what is required of you. And if you care so little for the safety and the business dealings and just the program of other people, you care so little that you just want to continually do things that are against the rules, that's going to lead to problems, well, then it's time for you to go, you know. And so That's why, because everybody runs with a collective, or the majority of people in prison run with a collective. And so they're just not going to attack you in the event they feel you need to be attacked. And when I say they, I'm talking about the potential people that you may owe, the potential people that you are causing to become upset and angry with you. And then if they happen to, so let's say you have two separate groups, right? Let's just say you have a white dude and a black dude, and the white dude is running up a debt with the black dude. And so if it gets to the point where the black dude is upset and he's not being paid, and he goes up to you, he punches you, he knocks you down, he stabs you, anything physical that he does to you, it's going to cause the other whites to get into it, right? So the thinking is, why sit back and wait for a problem like this to happen when we already see that this dude is doing things that's problematic? So then your own group will come and remove you to prevent it growing into something bigger. And that's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate life of prison. And like I said, we know when we enter into this type of into these type of groups, when we come in prison, we know what to do. And it seemed like knowing that we can be stabbed, killed, beat up would prevent a lot of people from doing certain things that would cause these situations to happen. But that's not always the case, you know. And some people think, well, dang, man, you know, how can you get along with a dude, you know, for 2-3 years, then you turn around and you have to assault him, you know? And like I said, once again, unfortunately, that's just the nature of prison. It reminds me a time when there was a very, very good friend of mine, extremely good friend of mine. We had been in 2 or 3 different prisons together. We had been cellies at one point, and we got to another prison, and now suddenly he starts to gamble. He starts to run up debt. He starts to borrow money from people. Not only borrowing money, but he's borrowing money from people with no idea of how he's even going to pay these people back. And so a dude who I had a rapport with, he came to me and he told me, hey, chill, you know, your homie, man, he came and borrowed some money from me. He was supposed to give it to me 2 weeks ago, so on and so forth, right? And just so happened that this dude had a very cool demeanor. He actually liked the dude who borrowed the money from him. He actually liked me, and we had a rapport. And so, but he said, you know, hey, man, you know, dude is way overdue. And man, I'm looking to get paid. So I said, hey, homie, don't trip. You know, we'll take care of it, right? And so dude was patient, you know, and dude actually, he said, hey, man, listen, I don't want to see you guys do nothing to do, because he knew how prison was set up. You know, at the end of the day, he just wanted his money. And so we got the situation revolved, we got the situation resolved, and he was paid. But I went to the homie, you know, and I told him, hey, homie, man, listen, you running around, you doing things that you know better. You know, at that point in time, that was dude's second or third prison term. And at that point in time, he probably had been locked up maybe 14, 15 years. So he definitely knew better than to do the things that he was doing, right? And so, but I told him, I said, hey, homie, you know how this go, man. And I said, homie, don't put me in a position to where I'm going to have to do something to you. I said, homie, you running around here, you doing things you know better. And, you know, he was man enough to say, you know what, you right, chill, my bad, so on and so forth, right? So I included that a little bit because a lot of times people know the things that they're doing, but for whatever reason, they tend to just disregard the circumstances. And, you know, at the end of the day, if they don't care, the people who they're riding with don't care. You know, I remember one time I told you guys a story about when I was in Ironwood, and I don't even remember the name of the story. I'll try to remember it as I'm talking. But and see, a lot of times in these collectives, you may have dudes from a particular city, right? These dudes happen to be from the city of San Diego. But now you may have in that particular city, sometimes not necessarily saying about San Diego, but I'm just giving you guys an example. You may have 6 or 7 gangs in one city. Now, normally on the street, those gangs may not all function together, but in prison, due to the nature of being together is more, you know, you'll have dudes who will stick together as a collective. And you may have 4 or 5 gangs within that collective, but then you also may have, like I said, dudes who are from the same gang in that collective. They're from the same gang on the streets. And that was the situation in this particular incident that I'm talking about, where for whatever reason these guys felt that it was necessary to discipline one of their homies. Now, when about 4 or 5 dudes, maybe 3 or 4 dudes jumped on this one dude, he, after the situation all happened, and you know he was being escorted, he was yelling, "I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you, Pooh Nitty! I'm gonna get you, Pooh Nitty! I'm gonna get you, Pooh Nitty!" He seemed more hurt that his immediate homeboy had jumped on him, you know. And so, you know, but sometimes that's how things go in prison, man. I'm just trying to look at my little notes over here, man. So you know, yeah, when you have a disregard for the people that you functioning with, you know, and you doing things that you know you're not supposed to do, sometimes it'll come back to haunt you. In that particular video, the dude is sitting at the table. Like I said earlier, some people come from behind and attack him with weapons. You know, 9 times out of 10, that dude knew possibly at least what he'd done, you know, or maybe he had done something in the past. And sometimes you may have, you know, told on an individual, maybe, you know, 4 or 5 years in the day, back in the day. Now suddenly it just happens to pop up, you know, the person that you told on, he happens to come to the yard, or a friend of his, and somehow gets the paperwork, you know. But it seemed kind of odd to me in that particular video that the dude was sitting at the table by himself. You know, you don't, it's rare, and it happens, but it's rare to see a person, you know, sometimes in prison just chilling off to himself like that, you know. It also reminds me of an individual, and a lot of the stories that I told, I named him S, you know, an individual who snitched on me, came to court on me in the county jail, said I had confided in him about my crimes, and then this dude was facing a gang of time, and so he wrote a letter to the district attorney and came to my trial and testified in hoping to get some leniency in his sentence. So I ran across a dude who inquired this dude in prison, and he told me, he said, "Man, you know what? It's funny that you say that, Chill." He said, "Because I used to work out with this dude. He used to love to do burpees, but he always wanted to put his back on the wall." He said, "Man, he always say, man, we can't trust these youngsters, man. We got to keep our eyes open." And so, you know, the dude who was working out with him, you know, he didn't necessarily think the dude was being over paranoid, because this, you know, once again, that was prison and stuff. But once I told him about it and showed him the actual paperwork, he said, "Oh, Chill, it all made sense." So I say that to say that, you know, he knew he had done something in the past, and he had no idea when it may come, but he was always expecting it. So a lot of times these people who are attacked, you know, they've done things, and sometimes they may have an idea of whether it's coming. They may have an idea of that it's coming, and just doesn't necessarily know when. Now, depending on how the DP comes, all depends on the nature of what the infraction. You know, sometimes it may just be physical. Sometimes it may be, you know, with a weapon. You know, but sometimes people will wonder, well, okay, well, why, when a person's DP'd, why do they send 2 people? Why do they send 3 people or 4 people? And the main reason of that is because when a person is being DP'd, it is because he has violated some type of rule. And so when you're going over there, when they're sending people to go discipline you, it is basically a physical learning moment. So they don't want to send one person over there, because you may have the skills, the pugilistical skills, to defeat this one person and beat him up. So it's now, so they want to make sure that the odds are against you. They want to make sure that you learn your lesson, and that's why they sometimes will send 3 or 4 people. Some people may consider it as some people may consider it as cowardly, but it's just the nature of prison, you know. And I have seen where, you know, they have sent 3 or 4 people to discipline one person, and that person just happens to person happens to squab well, and he can whoop 3 or 4 people. I mean, I have seen it happen before. So, you know, but that's why they send a lot of people toward the target, because, like I said, it's trying to be a physical teaching moment, but sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. You know, when a person gets DP'd, some people want to know, is this person allowed to fight back? Well, of course, you know, it's just gonna be in the nature of a gangster, a thug, a criminal, whatever you want to refer to a person as, that's really committed, you know, to fighting back. And then they always say you have to be a man before you have to be a Crip or a Blood or whatever. You have to be a man first, meaning that, you know, what man is just going to allow another man to physically put his hands on him and try to harm him for whatever reason, even if he is in violation. So, but some people don't have that. Some people, when they get attacked, especially by 2 or 3 people, they cover up, they crumble. But you always have to be willing to defend yourself. But anyway, that was just a little breakdown right there about the vicious nature of DPs in the California prison system. Like I said, if possible, I will leave a link to the unblurred version of that attack that I put up the other day. So if you haven't seen that, check the descriptions, hit that link and check it out. Anyway, y'all see that cough is gone too. You already know what it is. Oh, and today I'm heading to the studio. I'm recording the final version of that intro, Still Stepping, and then hopefully I'll have it out pretty soon, maybe within a few weeks. But yes, today I'm going in, I'm recording that final version, and we getting ready to drop it and get cracking. Like I said, man, I wanna do a lot musically this year, man. And so for those of you guys who enjoy my music, stay tuned, man. I'm about to get cracking. You already know what it is, though. It's your boy 16 to Life. Resume normal program.